Are you ready to debate vegan gains?
Yeah, I'm ready to debate vegan gains.
Wait, are you actually gonna, dude? What
Do
is
you
your
think you're
position?
gonna win?
I don't know if I'm gonna win or lose. I just want to know more of his points about like animal suffering and all that. I want to talk to him about that because
Oh
I'm
yeah,
very,
you like that. I forget. You
I'm
you
very-
you embellish that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Aren't you an advocate
You
for like
rebel
animal
pig.
suffering?
As we discussed earlier.
He's what we could call an anti.
Calling all carnivores zoo sadists.
What's up, vegan gains?
What's up?
What's
How's
up,
it going,
vegan
man?
gains?
All right.
What's up?
I'm a
So
big
this is
fan.
Smaggle
brother.
Daggle, the kid with a speech impediment. He wants to debate you.
Yep. All right, dude. I just want to know, how can you be against animal suffering of all kinds, but you are pro genocide of lions, tigers, wolves, and other meat eaters? That doesn't make any sense. How can you be anti-animal suffering but then be pro-animal suffering?
So I'm against rights violations, and killing carnivorous animals would reduce animal suffering, since carnivores have to kill many animals over the course of their lives to live, whereas herbivores don't. So that would reduce animal suffering.
I don't think it would, because herbivores have been known to eat meat at certain points. It's not common. It's not at all common. It is very rare. But there has been certain times where hippos have consumed animals. Where I know like things like giraffes and elephants eat bones of certain animals. I just don't see. You want to kill all carnivores, but you're against.
So
Against animal
I
suffering,
didn't
it
say I
just
wanted to
doesn't make
kill
any
all
sense.
carnivores. I said I am in favor of killing carnivores when it would reduce rights violations. So I
Yeah,
don't know
so
how
you-
you could claim killing off carnivores would reduce suffering and death when you just acknowledge the fact that herbivores rarely kill other animals, and you acknowledge that carnivores have to kill other animals to survive.
Yeah, I'm also pro ecosystem, and I don't think killing off carnivores is gonna like help the ecosystem. It's gonna harm the ecosystem.
Yeah, in what way?
It's gonna harm. What?
In what way? Like, what does that even mean?
So, do you know about the wolves in Yellowstone?
Yeah, you realize the authors who made that original paper disavowed it, and they found that wolves did absolutely nothing to affect the flora and fauna and the population of deer in the ecosystem, and it was actually climate change and poaching.
Can you send me a link to that?
Yeah, I could probably find something.
Let me see. That's. Let me.
Vegan gains. What are your thoughts on the vegan teacher?
She's alright, like, I know her personally.
Oh, that's cool. Like you met her or like talked to her on the phone?
No, like, I haven't met her on person, but, you know, we're, like, friends on Facebook and shit. We've talked a fair bit.
That's cool.
So,
There's people
How'd
here.
you feel about her? She had
Here's-
she had like an N-word meme. How'd you feel about that?
oh, I don't really care. I know what she was trying to say when she made that video, and people just missed the point. I don't really care if people say the N-word out of context. And for those who don't know,
Yeah.
I'm half
Right.
black. So I sent you an article. Basically, it's an interview that the original authors wrote. The wolves at Yellowstone didn't reduce the elk population. It was poachers that actually did it. The wolves aren't nearly successful enough hunters to actually do anything to reduce elk population. It also didn't change the elk's behavior to a degree where it affected flora fauna. It was just natural changes in climate.
Tom, can you DM me the link, or could you post it in the group chat?
Yeah, I sent it.
I don't see
But
it.
it's not here.
It's not here.
Well, I messaged it to you.
Wait,
No, you
since-
didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't. I don't have anything, so you didn't.
Okay, there it is in the group chat.
There you go.
Okay,
Jesus.
there we go. Smaggle, don't get all
Alright.
confrontational. Okay, don't mold.
I
Yeah.
am modding.
You claim
Why
to
are you
love
molding?
animals and you eat them, dude. How could you?
I'm fine with fucking eating any fucking animal because I can't go vegan. I'm fucking allergic to peanuts and tree nuts, all the nuts, so I can't go
What about
vegan
soy?
or else I'll
Can you
fucking
eat
die.
You realize there's millions of different species of edible plants, and you don't just have to eat peanuts and tree nuts?
So do you think if someone had severe allergies that would potentially restrict them from being able to eat a healthy vegan diet, do you think they would still be a bad person? Morally.
Yes. Why the hell should you... So, why should you be allowed to kill thousands of animals in your lifetime just so that you can live a better life? Like, if somebody had to torture and kill dogs so that they could feel better, would you be in favor of that?
Bro. I mean, in my opinion, that's just not comparable.
How is a dog
I
not
said-
comparable to a chicken, cow, or pig?
No, I said if someone had severe allergic restrictions,
Yeah, so let's say somebody could only eat dogs, and they had to basically pay for dogs to get tortured and murdered for them to be healthy. You'd be in favor of them torturing and killing dogs?
I'm not seeing. Are you guys seeing the correlation here? I'm not seeing it. I mean, look, you would
not-
destroy
look,
me in the debate
I'm
on this
How many
subject.
dogs?
I'm not going to debate your position for you.
Yeah.
You gotta try to own him.
I can't own him, right? You're gonna win, but I'm not seeing the correlation between someone having severe restrictions that would prevent them from being vegan, right? If you think vegan
There's
is good, I think
no
that's one thing.
allergy or medical condition known to man that would prevent you from being vegan and being healthy.
Well, it's like
there are
the difference is
allergies.
like,
There are allergies, but again,
You're-
you can just eat different foods.
because you're also putting like moral consideration for them, whereas like, which is why you're saying like, oh well, is it right to torture for one person to torture 100 people, right? Like I feel like that you guys have to argue that first, like if you should have that kind of regard. I guess.
Well, let's make this simple. There's this challenge I make called Name the Trait. So I believe animals should have the same rights as human beings because I don't see any substantive differences between humans and animals where animals shouldn't have human rights. So if you believe animals shouldn't have human rights, then name the trait that is lacking in animals that if lacking in human beings would also make it acceptable to take away those human rights from those human beings.
I'm not going to disagree with you there.
What if they're retarded
But-
like Smaggle Daggle?
Yeah, nice one. But if you think all animals should have human rights, then that would mean that you would think that carnivores should have human rights. Therefore, why do you think that carnivores should be? You are in favor of carnivores being killed if you think they should have human rights.
Yeah, so if they have human rights, under the same circumstances, if a human was going around killing other humans, we'd kill them. If that was the only way
Yeah,
to stop them
but-
from killing other humans.
But most carnivores don't attack their own; they go after other prey. That
Yeah.
doesn't. What you just said was cannibalism. Most
Well, that
carnivores
doesn't
don't.
matter. Okay, so
Yeah,
wait.
It kind of does.
No, it doesn't.
It
Okay,
kinda does
I'll
in
make
this
a different
situation.
hypothetical for you. So, do you know xenomorphs, like from the movie Alien?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so if xenomorphs were running around killing and eating humans, and that was their, like, natural food to eat, they're predators, would you be in favor of xenomorphs just killing humans, or would you want to eradicate all the xenomorphs?
Well, they're an alien species that aren't
Let's just
from
say they were
planet Earth,
natural.
so
Let's say they were
yes.
natural to Earth.
Well, then you're doing a lot of. I mean, I guess, sure, but you're adding like a bunch of like hypotheticals to it. What if xenomorphs were from Earth? What if xenomorphs only ate humans?
We're
You're
debating
just adding
principles.
so
It
much
doesn't matter.
shit.
We're debating principles. So if your principle
And
is
your
that
principles
it's
are
wrong to kill
stupid.
carnivorous animals, if your principle is
Your
that it's
principles
wrong to
are
kill
just
carnivorous
retarded.
animals, then you'd be in favor of xenomorphs killing human beings.
What? That just makes it what?
If you believe carnivorous animals should be allowed to go around killing, then if there was a carnivorous animal that was hunting down humans, you'd be in favor of just allowing them to eat humans, right?
No, I think that if there was a man-eater, like a man-eating tiger or lion, I do support them going out to kill that specific animal, but not kill every single animal in
Let's
that
say
species.
let's say that there was an animal where its natural prey was human beings. You just let them eat human beings?
You know what? Yeah.
Okay,
Because
well then you're retarded.
no, I'm not. Because there are certain animals that, like saltwater crocodiles that can kill humans. They don't have like they're not. They just see humans as like another species of animal, and you know.
So you want people to get killed by crocodiles?
No, that's
Well,
not
you
what
just
I'm
said
saying.
you just said you'd do nothing to stop crocodiles from killing humans. So
Well, I want to fucking eradicate crocodiles because
If you
crocodiles
could-
are an
if-
important species in the ecosystem.
what if
so
they
no.
weren't?
Well, if they weren't, which is not true, but if they weren't, then I guess I would kill them.
Yeah, that's
I
my
guess.
same
Like,
exact position.
but
So you agree with me?
No, I don't agree with you.
You
because-
literally just agreed with me.
No,
that is my
I don't.
exact position.
because
you just
because
agreed with me.
I just had to concede the fact. I just had to concede the fact that if they weren't an important species in the ecosystem, then maybe I would kill them. But they are an important species.
I
They are an
literally
important
just said
predator
that in the
species.
premise of
so,
my fucking argument, so you agree
you're
with me
just fucking
exactly.
retarded. You just suck ass, dude. You just
Come fight me,
you're just
dipshit.
awful. Come fight
Well,
me, dipshit. Ooh.
Vegan gains. What exactly? Was there like a certain turning point that made you like love animals, or what?
I always really liked animals, but I saw a speech by Gary Yourofsky. He's an animal rights activist, and I went vegan after watching that speech.
Is he famous or something? Wow.
Yeah, he's a famous animal rights activist.
Cool. And that was when you were young, or what?
That
Were you
would have
always
been when I was
vegan?
18.
Okay, so you weren't vegan until then.
Yeah.
So
And
I
for the
mean,
people in chat who were asking, Vegan Gains did DM me to clarify he is not on roids as I suspected. So there you go.
do you
Damn.
think you were? So you think you were a bad person before you were 18
Yeah.
because you ate animals?
Yeah.
Eating domesticated animals is fine. Eating wild animals is not. That's my position. I don't care about the domestic genocide. It doesn't really bother me at all. I don't really care about those feelings of those animals because those animals were not made to be loved. They were meant to be fed.
Okay, so if
to
we
humans.
were to say raise human beings that were meant for food, you'd be fine with killing and eating those human beings?
No, because those were human beings. And
Well,
those are
they were
different
meant to
than
be fed,
animals.
right? So you'd be fine with that.
No, because they are different from animals. Humans
Okay,
and
then
animals are different.
then name the trait. Name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in human beings, you'd be fine with killing and eating human beings.
Well, what do you-
Intelligence.
Okay, so if we found mentally disabled people, you'd be fine with killing and eating them.
Nope.
Then that's a contradiction, you fucking moron.
No, it's not because
Yes,
I'm
it
mentally
is.
disabled. I don't want people eating me.
That's a contradiction.
weird. No, it's not.
Okay, well, you
think
know
we
what?
should
Since
eat
you
you.
admit
You might
you're
say it's
mentally
good.
disabled, I think by default I win the fucking argument then.
Wouldn't
Not
a
really,
wouldn't a mentally disabled human though be much more intelligent than an average animal or no?
Not necessarily. Depends on the disability.
Mentally disabled human is like the same as like a common chimp, but nobody wants to eat a chimp because they get it.
Well, it depends on the disability. Like, yeah, somebody with Down syndrome is probably going to be roughly probably more than, well, again, depends. But they're probably going to be more intelligent than a chimp. But if they have some other disability, like anencephaly, they're certainly less intelligent than, like, probably even a chicken.
Okay, what are your thoughts on the intelligence of animals in general? Do you think they're smart?
Well, yeah.
Like a
I think
deer,
they're-
for example.
Yeah, I think they're pretty intelligent. They are curious. They do have problem-solving skills. They do have social ability.
I mean, from my perspective, I live in the Northeast, and with deer specifically, I think they're pretty retarded because they run onto the street when there's like a 5,000-pound car.
The reason
they
they
get-
do that is because they can't tell the direction of the sound because it's so loud to them, and they think an animal like a grizzly bear or something is coming to chase them, so they run away, and they often run onto the road.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, the deer won't let me get within 100 feet of it. Well, I don't know. Where do you live? You live in California?
Well, I'm in Canada.
Oh, Canada. So, like, a deer won't let me get anywhere near it, but it'll like run into a car.
I just
basically.
explained to you why they do that. Like, children run onto the fucking road chasing after a ball. Is it okay to fucking kill kids?
No, because kids are
Maybe.
different than deer and other animals.
Yeah, again, you weren't able to name the trait. You just made
I
a
was.
contradiction. Yeah,
I
and
did.
it led to a contradiction. So either
It did not.
It did. You just said lack of intelligence,
How
and then
did
you
it- how
denied
did
killing
the-
mentally disabled people.
Yeah, because I think those are still humans, and I'm
So
against killing humans.
then
for food.
intelligence isn't the trait. Then it's a combination
No,
of traits.
Okay, you know what? The human experience—that's the trait.
What is human experience? Define that.
Define the human experience. When a person is born to when a person dies. That's the human
Okay,
experience.
that's not an explanation. Can you define what a human experience is specifically?
Specifically, when a Homo sapiens is born from a mother's womb to when they die and go to the grave. That's,
so is
that's
this-
the human experience.
So is this? You mentioned Homo sapien. So on the basis of somebody not being Homo sapien, that's not a human experience.
Yes, because that's not human.
Okay, so if we were to analyze your DNA and it turned out you're not human, therefore you're not having human experience, and it's okay to kill you, even though you're intelligent.
If you're not like,
Be
if
careful,
you're not like,
dude.
if you're like part fucking Neanderthal or whatever, then. But if you're still part human, then yeah, you can have the human experience. But if you're like fucking part human, part chimp, which you can't be, but if you are, then no.
So you'd be fine with holocausting an intelligent alien species just on the basis of them not being Homo sapien. So like if Klingons or something or Vulcans were to come to Earth, you'd be okay with holocausting them because they're not human on that basis alone.
Depends if they. taste it or
Yeah,
not.
because they're not natural. They're alien. They're
Okay,
from a different
right.
world.
This is coming from the retard.
Yeah, the retard.
Right,
is
right. The
owning you
retarded
right now, so-
holocaust an intelligent fucking species, right?
Yeah, does it make you fuck cry, dude?
This is not the first time you supported the
Wait,
Holocaust.
I support
That's
the
the scary
domestic
part.
animal holocaust and the alien holocaust.
Smaggle was a part of Germany first. Most people don't know that. Yo, if any of you guys want to debate Vegan Gains, you should come in here. I think he's destroying Smaggle Daggle. I think you guys are slightly better.
Actually,
I think
Baker-
Turkey Tom is very biased.
I think if
What does
you
that
were to
even
watch
mean,
Dominion,
bro?
I think if you were to
What
watch
the fuck?
Dominion, you wouldn't be saying any of this stupid shit.
If I watched Dominion, I would still eat a fucking burger afterwards, but
Yeah, it's
not
'cause
really
you're a piece
because I
of
don't
shit.
like. I don't
what
like
would be the
McDonald's or
takeaway?
Burger King or any other fast food. I would
What
eat.
would be
like-
what would be the average person's takeaway from Dominion?
Oh, I think they'd feel horrible about themselves. At least if they're a decent person.
I get what
for like a
disturbed
day, and then then I'll eat a fucking burger with chicken wings. I don't like it would affect me for like a day or two, but like they're domesticated animals, they're not wild animals, so I don't really care. If it was like a rare breed, then I would care a little bit more, but not as much as if it was a wild.
No,
animal.
we could consider
So
you a
that's it.
domesticated animal since you're mentally disabled. Are you even able to live on your own?
I am able to live on my own. I'm just not living on my own right now.
Yeah, do you need government assistance?
Nope.
Okay.
Hey, Lucifer,
Yeah.
if you want to debate vegan gains, put your Discord tag in chat, and I'll add you to the call.
Could I add Gamma to the thing? He wants to debate vegan.
I'm gonna do one at a time. Maybe we can do him after, but I just don't want to crowd it too much.
All right.
He's ableist. I mean, I guess. Who cares? It's kind of funny though.
Who the fuck
Fucking,
cares?
what's his name is ableist. He just said he'd Holocaust mentally disabled people.
Smaggle Daggle,
You said
Mr.
that- you-
Daggle.
Wait,
you said
did
that
I?
so casually. He's ableist.
Hey, Tom, can you put in chat? Can you put a poll if I won a vegan gains one?
How
I
long-
believe that you wouldn't eat a human.
I don't
How
really,
long-
Okay, to be honest with you, Smaggle, I think you would win that poll, so I'd be unsurprised. And the reason why, because I think a lot of people have a hard time confronting what vegan gains said. So,
Okay,
yeah.
dude.
Dude, the thing is, you did make a big contradiction. You could not logically defend your point. You couldn't.
Vegans, do
Logically-
you think?
Defend what point?
The point that
You-
eating animals is cool.
Do you
If
think
they're
there's
domesticated,
anything?
I don't care. That's
But
my
like,
point.
but like once again, like that's just your personal preference. Like there's no like logic to that. Like you can't draw like morality around that.
Right, like
Regardless
if
of
we
the
made
person, because
domesticated human beings, he wouldn't be in favor of it, so it would just lead to another contradiction.
How
No,
long
it
have you
wouldn't,
been
because I
debating
We're
veganism
going
for?
in circles.
Well, for about 13
Did
years.
Lucifer put their shit in chat? I'm looking.
How long?
For about 13 years.
Do you think there's anything like in general, not you specifically? Do you think there's anything that can be done to make veganism more mainstream, like regarding the packaging or the message?
No, it's just gonna take a slow sort of cultural change. I don't think there's anything wrong with the messaging. The problem is the people receiving the message. Just a lot of people aren't smart enough. They're not intellectually honest enough, and they end up coming up with stupid answers, like you've just heard.
Yep, but with vegan gains.
I feel like I feel like there could be certain things regarding the packaging that could be done better.
So Nick, you wanted to ask a question of Smaggle real quick?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to flesh out. What do you think? Like, I guess, what is your position on domesticated animals, more so?
You asking me this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like anything that a human has over the course of time, domesticated a wild species into a breed instead of a species. So like
A breed is
they
a
domestic-
species.
They shut up. They domesticated a cow into multiple different types of cows, into the Holstein, into the Angus, into the Longhorn steer, into all those species, into all those breeds. That's what I would differentiate with a buffalo.
But you said
or,
earlier
like,
that some of these things are like bred to die, to
Yeah.
serve like a singular purpose, to be food. Would you agree with that?
some of those animals, yes. The Holstein is used for basically just like milk, cheese. For Angus, it would.
So its
Be-
life doesn't serve value because it's basically put on this planet to serve a singular purpose, and once that purpose has been subsided or whatever, it's not.
Right, like when black people were
Yeah.
slaves.
Oh, come on! I was working to that. Damn it! Yeah, yeah, that was where that was going. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
black
know.
people were
What
What do you
bred.
think of American slavery?
Black people were
I mean, if you look up
literally
the
bred.
word,
We should go back.
if you look up the word domesticate, oh my god.
Oh. You wouldn't. I don't know if you do too well back then either, Smaggle. Okay.
Yeah,
I know I won it, but you know,
We'd probably use you as a fucking footstool or turn you into a rug.
Tom,
just
you would
fell
be
on a
dying
fucking-
in like a fucking civil war. Like, come on, dude.
I wouldn't, bro. I'd be a fucking peasant. All right, so Lucifer wants to call in to debate you vegan gains.
Sure.
Order in the court. We're gonna let Lucifer versus vegan gains. Let's hear it. He said he wants to debate this autist, is what he described you as. So I'm curious to see what his opening arguments are going to be. Richard, are you streaming right now?
Yeah.
And not Smaggle?
Okay, nice, gotcha. Yo, last night, after you left, we went out for, I went out to get like an Impossible Burger. So I go out and I get it, and then they bring it out with cheese on it.
Yeah, you have to say
Which
no
is- which
cheese.
is- yeah, I didn't realize that. Well, the thing is, we were like, do you have vegan options? And they were like, well, we have the Impossible Burger. And I was like, okay, sure,
Right.
I'll get that.
Yeah, they should have probably been more perceptive. But yeah, you have to be careful and say no cheese, no mayo.
Yeah. Oh well. I ate it anyway,
Lucifer.
to be honest. I did.
It's a rookie mistake. But next time.
Shit.
Exactly.
Do you
Must be
often
back
We're
in
so
it.
fucked.
do you often eat the same thing like consistently, Vegan Gains? Or
Yeah,
no?
my diet's pretty consistent.
What does it look
I
like?
guess he's saying like, do you have like a boring diet? I guess this is a real question.
Well, I feel like most bodybuilders do.
Like it's not terribly boring. I eat just a mix of fruits and vegetables and like tofu, seitan.
Speaking of Satan, Lucifer, what's up?
How's it going?
You want to
So
debate Vegan Gains?
so just out of curiosity, Mr. Gaines, why do you find it okay to eat vegetables, stuff like that? Plants, I mean, in a matter of speaking, they are alive, or at least they were at one point. So, I mean, even if they don't have intelligence,
Yeah, they're not conscious. That's why I don't care.
but they have veins, they feel things,
No, they
you
don't.
know,
No, they're not conscious. You can't feel anything if you're not conscious.
not specifically, no, but like you still have the ability, like, they're still alive in a way.
I don't care if they're
So-
alive. I only care about conscious creatures. Why would I
Right,
care?
that
Like,
makes
why would I
sense.
like if a rock were alive? Why would I care about a rock? Like, I
Well,
only care if
because you
it's
could-
conscious.
But if a
I mean-
rock was alive and it ate meat,
Oh.
would you kill it?
Yeah, if it would reduce rights violations.
Oh, that's clean.
Okay, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, I mean, whether you like it or not, people are going to continue and continue to eat, you know.
Whether you like it or not,
yeah,
people are going to rape,
we're-
people are going to murder, people are going to commit genocides, go to war. None of that doesn't make any of those things okay.
Right, but why is it so bad that we eat animals? Because
Why is it
whether-
so bad that we commit murder and go to war and commit genocide? Like, we're just going to do it anyway, right?
No, I mean that's not a good thing, of course. But
Yeah, so why
animals,
the
they're
hell
never
would I
going
not
to gain-
advocate to
they're never going
eat a
to gain
plant-based
the
diet?
consciousness that human beings have. So why would it matter? Like, if anything, our bodies actually are better off eating animals
Okay,
because of
buddy.
the simple fact.
That is the
What?
most retarded thing you could possibly say to me.
Why?
Like I'm 6'3", I'm 245 pounds, I'm fucking jacked. I can guarantee you I'm bigger, stronger, healthier than you are.
190 pounds.
Sorry?
I don't give a fuck how big you are. I'm 6'2" and I'm 190 pounds. I don't fucking care how big you
How
are.
much do you bench?
How much do I bench? I mean, I work in a factory, so I don't really bench. I don't really know how much I bench.
Okay,
but,
so
you know,
I
either
can
way.
bench 380. I could probably bench at least twice what you can. So do you think I'm not getting enough nutrition?
Getting back to the conversation, don't give a fuck about how much you can bench. Like, don't really care if I could fight you or not. We're going back to this conversation now. Simple fact is whether you like it or not, humanity has benefited from being able to
Okay,
eat.
Lucifer, just to moderate a bit, can we go back to that argument? So the reason he said that is because you said humans are better off or healthier because of eating animals. And Vegan Game's point is, well, he's a case study of someone who doesn't eat animals and is way stronger than anyone. I mean, in this call, certainly, right? Way stronger and healthier.
By the way,
So that's his point.
if you look at the Adventist health studies in the Oxford vegetarian cohort, vegans live longer and they have lower risk of chronic disease. So I don't know how the hell you can claim that we're better off eating meat.
I don't know. It's fine that we are better off eating meat.
To be fair, that might not be entirely accurate because there's probably more vegans in areas where you can afford to be vegan, right?
No,
Like
so
how- yeah,
when
in
these
terms of
studies
health?
are conducted,
Yeah, the
they
opposite.
adjust for confounding variables like
Oh, okay.
socioeconomic status.
I mean, to be honest, it'd be awesome if everybody could, stop eating animals. But either way, I mean, one, they're tasty as fuck. Two,
That's not
like,
an argument.
I mean, it's not an argument. No, I was just saying that in general. Two, it's just like that we can mass produce them, so it's kind of a scenario in which we have to have them either way, and they're stupider than us. So
We
like,
don't have to have animal agriculture. How could you make that claim?
It's just easier.
No, it's
If
not.
anything.
No, it's not. It's harder. It requires way more energy input, and it reduces the food supply. If you read Chapter 5, page 76 of the UN's latest climate report, if we stopped using any animal agriculture, we would have enough food to feed the people that are expected to exist by 2050 while using less agricultural land than we use today.
Gotcha. That's nice. That's nice. That's really nice. But I mean, we'll never be able to get there because of all these
Well,
corporations.
we absolutely would be. Why the hell would you say we're not?
I said we wouldn't be able to get there because of all the corporations that are out there.
Okay,
that
well,
don't
the
really
claim you
connect.
made was that we needed animal agriculture, and I just debunked that claim. Now you're saying, oh, well, it's not going to happen anyway. What the fuck do I care? You were wrong. Can you admit you were wrong?
No, I was wrong on that, but the thing is like it helps in this God, you can tell I don't do debates. But it's just a simple fact that helps us as a culture, as a species, to eat these animals. Like even though right now in our modern day and age, we don't really need it. We don't need it at all. But
Then why are
Our
you
ancestors-
advocating for a
our
Holocaust?
ancestors-
If you
our
acknowledge we
ancestors-
don't need it, it's less healthy for us, it's actually reducing our food supply and contributing to food insecurity, then why support
honestly,
it?
if we didn't have to mass produce them, that would probably be better. It'd probably be a lot less strain on humanity. But like back, our ancestors did need them for sure.
I don't care about our ancestors. Our ancestors also practiced fucking genital mutilation. What the fuck do I care if a bunch of stupid proto-humans smashed squirrels on a rock and ate them?
True, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But you can win the argument. But either way, I feel like honestly, if we had animals, we have animals for a reason. I don't think it's a problem that we eat them. Honestly.
Oh, okay, wait. If you're going to claim that, what's the basis of that argument?
On the basis of we have shit here for a reason, and
Yeah, the reason is basically it tastes good in corporate greed. That's the only reason. You just acknowledged that we don't need it. It would actually reduce the food supply. It's increasing food insecurity. Again, if you read the UN's latest climate report, it's a huge contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. If we move to a completely plant-based food system, we could mitigate 30% of total worldwide greenhouse gas emissions. It's also not healthy for us. Vegans live longer and have reduced risk of chronic disease. So, like, how can you claim this isn't a problem?
When were those studies made, if I might ask?
When
And, like, how long?
UN's
Like,
latest
over
climate
how
report, that was like in 2017 or 2018?
I'm talking about like vegans actually living longer and all that shit.
Well, the Adventist health studies started back in the 1980s, or actually no, in the 1970s. The Oxford vegetarian cohort, I believe, started either in the late 90s or early 2000s. So the cohort's been going on for 20 years.
So I get that you look amazing, you look great, and all this bullshit. But I'm just out of curiosity, in your own words, why is it that most vegans look sickly, just don't
Well,
look
because
good
you have
overall?
selection bias. Like,
I have a
you
question.
probably know
That's-
vegans in your daily life that look great, you just don't know they're vegan. You just have selection bias.
I have a question about that study. Is it So I think the real thing I want to say was like I guess with vegans, because they're specifically already on a diet too, like that will select. I feel like naturally. This is not to say if like this, because I'm not familiar with the study, but like does it account for the inherent difference of like vegans already are going to be people who pay attention to their diet more.
Yeah, so they do account for that. You can actually look at low meat eaters, so people who deliberately try to reduce their meat intake. You can compare them to
Okay, so
vegetarians,
it's-
pescatarians. Vegans do better than those groups.
Okay, so it's a lot of different sub diets
Yeah.
against each other.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
you're not just
gotcha.
comparing it against like a standard American diet. But again, if you're going to claim like it's fine to kill animals, then name the trait. Name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in human beings, it would be okay to kill human beings. Because you have to be logically consistent.
Let's see.
All right. Well, Lucifer, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Is there any last words?
Not really. I thought I could take them easier than this. I still stand on the side that you can eat animals and it's completely fine. I've never really debated before, so I'm not really prepared for this. But you know what? Vegan Gains, I hope you live a happy life, and I hope you enjoy it, man. I hope you
don't
enjoy your
live long
vegan.
if you're going to keep eating animals.
Thanks. Yeah,
A vegan W.
Thank you,
Vegan
brother.
Gains W.
Thanks for
When
calling
do you
in.
when do you think veganism will be mainstream? Vegan, if you have
I'm
to
not
bet
sure.
money on it.
I'm not sure. I think once we have like lab-grown meat and it becomes more economically viable than animal agriculture, you're probably going to see animal agriculture go away and the idea of animal rights be more culturally acceptable in society.
You think it'd be like
Vegan.
2040, 2080?
Yeah, like I think in our lifetimes, I would expect by 2050.
I don't want this to be a debate question, more just like a genuine question. Like, what do you think of omnivores? Like, would you kill black bears and brown bears, or would you let them live but only let them eat plants?
Yeah, so if it would reduce rights violations, then I'd be in favor of killing like black and brown bears or other omnivorous animals. If it wouldn't, then I wouldn't be. Ideally, like, yeah, we'd have these animals in captivity and we just feed them a vegan diet. But I don't think you can really do that. Just because there's so many of these animals.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Monkey Maniac, welcome to the stream. What do you want to say to Vegan Gains?
So I just wanted to like find some like common ground, you know?
Sure.
Okay.
Hell yeah, dude. Jump in there.
Yeah, yeah. So Mr. Vegan Gains,
Why is
right?
it not reading up? Go back to lobby.
I work out quite a bit. All right, I work out, and I get that nutrition's important. And I'm not here to argue about nutrition. I'm here to argue about. You mentioned an American diet, and I think we can agree about a lot of things there.
Okay.
So I think that the American diet, I think it's rooted in lots of really, really terrible practices that kind of come from the Industrial Revolution, where you have stuff like meat packing plants, all the unsanitary conditions there, and it was just really a machine of suffering, so to speak. And I don't agree with that, and I think that it's lots of those problems are still present today. But I don't think a necessarily full vegan approach to it is where it's no animal products at all. I don't think that's necessarily the solution. I think the best solution is to kind of dismantle lots of these harmful industries that we find. But I feel like if people have a better connection to the food that they eat, like if you raise chickens or something, I feel like you can consume animal products more comfortably.
Yeah, why would any amount of murder be okay?
I'm not advocating for murder. I'm advocating for, like, you raise chickens, and instead of like eating the chickens, you get like eggs and shit out of them,
Yeah, so the issue with that is chickens only lay eggs for about a year or two until their egg laying completely stops. So you would either have to have massive, ridiculously huge farms of chickens to keep laying eggs, or you're going to have to kill and eat them. On top of that, male chickens don't lay eggs, and about 50% of chickens hatched are male. So what are you going to do with the male chickens? Again, the standard industry practice is to kill them. And secondly, you're breeding animals that are guaranteed to have health issues.
No. You have me mistaken. I'm not speaking to solutions. I'm speaking more towards the problem, because I don't know how to solve the problem of the meat industry. Okay, I'm not claiming to know the solution there.
You stop supporting.
No.
The solution.
I get that you can stop supporting it, but you need to accept that there's got to be some alternative to that still involves some form of animals.
No, it's called eating plants and nothing but plants.
Well, what the fuck are you gonna do with all the animals once you shut it all down?
What do you mean? We breed them into existence.
Well, yeah. We do breed them into existence, but
there are more chickens, more heads of cattle, more pigs than ever in history. It's because we breed.
I'm saying that it's a problem that is more indicative of things like overpopulation, stuff like that. How do we get the most amount of food, the most amount of people? These are problems
amount of food,
further.
Again,
they further these devices that the meat industry uses to further the suffering of animals, and I don't agree with that.
So you produce the most amount of food by only making plant food. Plant food is so efficient that any amount of animal agriculture you do will actually reduce the food supply. Again, if you read Chapter 5, page 76 of the UN's latest climate report, we could feed the population that would be expected to exist by 2050, which I think is 12 billion, while using less agriculture than we use today. So, and that's on a completely plant-based food system. So why would you have any animal agriculture when it would reduce the food supply and it harms animals?
Well, you can argue that there's lots of history behind food as well.
Well, who cares? I don't care about
history. Certainly lots of cultural history.
Yeah, there's a lot of cultural history of Holocaust.
You're talking about solutions that are very personal to people. Whenever you're talking about worldwide solutions, you need to consider, because if you're going to be realistic at all with your solutions, you need to consider nuances between cultures that may value certain food.
I do not fucking care if somebody likes chicken.
On any level with any other country, you're going to have to understand that you're going to need to be willing to compromise with people to make progress.
No, there's no compromise when it comes to a Holocaust. Would you compromise with Hitler? Would you
compromise
with Hitler if Germans really wanted to kill Jews? Would you make a compromise?
You have a very, very militaristic approach to this that really doesn't consider lots of the cultural...
Who's the one rounding up animals and murdering them?
I mean, there's kind of differences between the Holocaust and what we're doing now. I mean, Hitler did it just because he believed he was superior. It's not like he was eating a bunch of fucking Jews. You are doing it because
you believe you're superior to animals.
I mean, if you can find evidence that Hitler was eating Jews, that'd be really nice.
The only reason you're in favor of killing animals is because you think you're superior to them.
I'm asking you now, like, where's the evidence of Hitler eating Jews? I just want to know that.
He didn't eat Jews. The point I was making
then why is it compared to the
Holocaust?
Why is it compared to the Holocaust? I mean,
how is it any different? The only difference is that it's ongoing. We keep breeding these animals into existence, and it never ends. And that way, it's worse.
Yeah, but why are we killing them? We're eating them. But Hitler didn't do it to eat them.
So you would be fine if Hitler killed Jews to eat them?
I love cows. I don't kill them because I hate them.
You would be fine with Hitler if he ate
No, I'm saying that you're connecting this to the Holocaust when it's nothing fucking like that.
It absolutely is extremely similar. It is extremely similar. The only meaningful difference.
The dinner plate with a Jew on it.
The only difference is sorry. Would you have not called it Holocaust if Hitler ate the Jews?
I mean, by your logic, yes. I would have said, yeah. You know what, Vegan Gains? If he was chowing down on one, I agree with you. This is totally like a Holocaust.
Then, if you agree, if that's the only difference, and even if that difference doesn't exist,
it's not the only difference. It's just the first one I can think of. I'm sure there's a billion fucking things that I can think of that are different from the actual real life extinguishment of the Jews.
Let's make this simple.
A bunch of cows dying.
Let's make this simple. Name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in human beings, you would be fine with killing and eating those human beings.
No. I'm trying to sell this home. Your
can't
perspective
justify
of this
your position. So
is
again,
like
if you're going to
completely
justify murder,
disconnected
if
from
you're
any
going to justify
concept of
murdering
humanity,
animals,
that
if
you would
you're going to
compare
justify
one of the
murdering
worst
animals,
genocides in human history, where someone was
only
extinguishing
6
a
million
bunch of
people were
Jews
killed.
just for the
Billions
sake
of
of
animals per
killing
year are
them.
killed.
Just for the sake of killing them, they weren't even getting anything out of it. In fact, they lost resources. They lost resources.
That doesn't
killing them
matter
because
to
they
me.
just fucking hated
That
them
doesn't
so
matter
much.
to me. It is comparable
It
to the
matters to me
Holocaust.
because you are fucking thinking of this like you are not a human, like no one else is a human. You're thinking with numbers. There's nuance. There's culture.
No. If you have a
But,
culture where
that's
meat eating
all
is acceptable, you have a terrible culture. And again, name the trait. Name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in a human being would justify killing and murdering a human
No,
being.
I'm done. I'm not
Okay,
talking
so you
to a
can't
human
answer.
right now.
Right, you can't answer.
No,
you
I'm
can't
done.
name the trait. You can't answer. You
Listen,
can't
just
justify
wish
murder.
me a bad day. Wish me a bad day and send me on my way. Do it. Say
Go
that you don't
fucking
want me to
choke
be
on your
helping.
next meal. Stop fucking chewing.
Yeah,
Monkey
there it
Mechanic
is.
W.
There it is.
Monkey Mechanic W.
There it is.
Vegan
Thank you.
Gains
That's what I was
Cell.
waiting for. I got my little souvenir.
What do you,
Bitch.
Vegan Gains? What do you think the main difference between the Holocaust and the way animals are treated on a mass scale?
Well, the only real difference was that the Nazis intended to eradicate Jews, whereas with animals, we don't want to eradicate them. We want to keep producing them so we can keep murdering them. And in that way, it's worse. You're just contributing to an ongoing, never-ending amount of torture and death.
Mr.
Gotcha.
Pumpernickel says it was proven Hitler was a vegan. Well, thank you for
No,
the
he
donut,
wasn't.
buddy.
He said he was vegetarian because he was a terrorist. He was in jail for terrorism. And when he was running for political office, people didn't want to vote for him because they thought he was a crazy, violent psycho. And he lied about being vegetarian, so people thought he was a peace-loving person.
Has anyone ever beat you in a debate?
Work.
I've lost debates on abortion, but veganism, no.
Okay, Nathan,
Not
what's your username if you want to be added, buddy? I don't
Not
know
even
what you-
close to losing on vegan.
I
Like,
think-
no,
oh
not
no,
even-
wait, you just were in here, weren't you?
Yeah,
Which
Nathan
one's
was
in?
just in
Who's
here.
in?
It's Gamma now.
All
But
right, do you want to add him?
yeah, I'll add Gamma.
Vegan
I do
Gains.
want.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I just want to ask for a follow-up question because you did say something about omnivores in captivity. So what do you think about zoos and aquariums? Do you think that
Well,
it's
they're
bad
animal
or is it
prisons.
good or is it?
They're
Oh,
just
it's animal
prisons for
prisons.
animal. They're prisons.
So
for animals.
you don't care about the conservation and all that. You just think
They
it's animal
don't.
prisons.
They do not contribute to conservation efforts.
They do,
in
but
most,
you
in most
know,
circumstances.
They do.
They don't in most circumstances.
They do.
No, they don't.
They
No,
fund,
they don't.
They fundraise money, and they also
They can do that
they
without
also
having
breed-
animal prisons.
They also breed up the animal. They breed up endangered, extinct in the wild species.
Yeah, and then they just
send
stay in
them
a
over
prison.
to-
And then they just stay in a
Mm.
prison. They don't get rehabilitated. Most of the
sometimes
animals
they stay
never
in the
ever get
prison,
rehabilitated.
and
Most of them don't have any
sometimes they
intention of
do.
rehabilitating them because they use them as attractions. So no, in most cases, zoos serve no functional purpose.
They do. They educate.
I just
and
said
they
in
go to
most
comp.
cases they do not. Even
In
when they
most
claim, look, this is what happens. Even when they claim they're going to do this for conservation efforts, zoos don't want to lose these animals because they're a money-making business. So what they'll do is they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're trying to rehabilitate them." They won't put any fucking effort. There's not necessarily any standard when it comes to rehabilitation. So they can just do the absolute bare minimum, not rehabilitate, and then just breed these animals so that they can sell them to other fucking zoos.
Based. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I like that. I like zoos. I like aquariums. I like that they do that.
Yeah, well, that's
if
because you're a
gonna-
fucking moron who's too stupid to play
True,
fucking Call of
true.
Duty, and that's your only fucking form of entertainment you can
And
enjoy.
you eat soy. So between me and you, I think you're the loser. All right, Gamma. Let's see what you got.
Let's see what I got. Okay.
Get him.
Let me just start off by saying that when it comes to your opinion on veganism, I mean I respect your choice, right? And like every choice like that should be respectable. But I do have a little bit of gripes when it comes to your whole argument where you're saying like what can you compare between animals and humans that animals don't have that make animals more or like equal to humans in regards of like not killing them in mass. So what I have to say against that is that animals, to an extent, even if you use the whole mental deficiency argument earlier, animals to an extent can still not think at a cognitive level that humans can, right? They're the way that they think is genuinely just not going to be ever in any sort of like form of way going to be comparable to that of a human. Humans just have significantly more awareness to an extent where justifying the death of all humans is incomparable to justifying animals who just live off of instinctual practices. They're not going to realize that what's being done to them is wrong. They're just going to realize that like
You
that
could say
they're
that about
victims of
mentally
another
disabled
process.
people. So you're in favor of killing some mentally disabled people?
Well, look, that's where the argument falls flat because mentally disabled people, to an extent, they at least know that when somebody is wronging them, they're
That's
going to
not
get
true.
wronged.
That's
That
not
is
true.
true.
That is not
very
true of
much
every
true.
mentally disabled person. You can be so
Tell me-
cognitively deficient. You
Tell me why.
You don't know.
Okay, look. But here's the difference. Like most of the human population isn't that cognitively deficient. And
yeah,
in fact,
so it's
I'd argue that less.
consistency. It's logical consistency. So when it comes to marginal cases like that, to be logically consistent, you would have to be in favor of killing and eating those people.
Okay, but who's to say that in a different world that wouldn't be the case? Like you could
So
in
you
fact
would
do that,
be
but
in
even
favor
then,
of killing mentally
even
disabled
then-
people.
Look. I'm just gonna say yes for the sake of moving that point along because it's honestly a valueless point.
Okay, so
But
when
even
the Nazis
I mean,
rounded up mentally disabled people, they were the first people that were fucking holocausted and killed. You wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that if they were sufficiently mentally deficient.
weak comparison because what percentage of those people actually made up the entirety of the people that were killed during the Holocaust?
So
or even in
I
general, the entirety of the population?
just said, don't fucking put words in my mouth. I just said when the Nazis
put words
rounded
in your
up
mouth.
mentally disabled people, you wouldn't have necessarily had a problem with that, assuming they were sufficiently mentally disabled.
But to what extent is something sufficiently mentally disabled?
To
And
where
what's the
they're
percentage
comparable
of that?
to an animal you'd be willing to kill.
Okay, but how many people can you actually compare to that? Can
You're
you,
talking about
what-
millions. You're talking about in the millions.
Okay, but you know how many people there are on Earth in comparison? The
Right,
the
so
number
you'd
is
be
so low that
fine.
it's just not worth
You're gonna
comparing.
eat those
Right, so
million
you'd be
people?
fine
Okay,
with
so just
killing
to-
about 10 million
Just to
people.
moderate a bit here and kind of cut through the smoke. Okay. So Gamma, you're speaking practically. You're speaking like, okay, well, how realistic is that? Okay, well, let's say we did have a mentally disabled person that was of the same intelligence as a pig, right? The same
Okay.
intelligence. What Vegan Gains is saying is like, well, if your reasoning for like killing and eating a pig is because it's less intelligent, why wouldn't you be okay with killing and eating this disabled person?
Look, the thing about that is that even if a person were to get that done, which is possible in extremely fucking rare cases, to the point where like you'd have to be genuinely significantly like you'd have to genuinely have an insane
You're
genetic
talking about
deformity.
10 million people on the planet that would have
Okay,
an intelligence
no,
of that level.
No, where's the statistics for this? Where's the facts? Because you can say that 10% of people are fucking mentally deficient, but even some mentally deficient people have more, like maybe 5 times more
Okay,
awareness.
Gamma,
than
you're
human beings.
kind of getting away from the point. Let's say there was, let's say, a large subclass. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna-
logical consistency. If your justification for eating animals is that they're retarded, why won't you eat a retarded person?
Look. What I'm saying.
I think
What
he
I'm saying
conceded
is,
that he would.
like what? I did concede that I would.
Wait, why
because-
is it a
you
small
would-
point? Why
dude,
are we just rushing
you-
past
look,
The
that?
reason why,
Yeah, he
the
already
reason why I'm
conceded
bringing
he
this up,
retarded
the
people.
reason why I'm bringing this up is because you said you'll take that L just to get past the point.
Well, look,
I'm
I have
saying,
a
like,
reason
that is
why
no
though.
point.
I have a
Okay.
reason why though. It's because even if you didn't, even like if you did or if you didn't, like hypothetically, if we live in a world, because look, keep in mind that the only way that any of Vegan Gains practices would ever actually work is if the population and if everything in general was like downsized to such a huge degree. In that type of world, it's debatable to say whether like the human species would be as evolved as it is now. And there has been multiple cases throughout history where somebody who was in fact mentally deficient or in fact incapable of surviving on their own because of their deficiencies, where they were just completely like fucking slaughtered, where they were like taken advantage of because they were genuinely less valuable than people. In some cases, in some cultures, people were fucking eaten.
So I think the question is like, do you agree with that decision?
Do I agree with that decision? I'm not like if we go to the bare bones, where
It's a
where
yes or
which
no
is what-
question, dude.
then yes, because if you go to
Okay,
the bare
cool.
bones, it's gonna happen regardless. It's
Right,
going to
so
happen.
this
regardless.
person's in favor of mass murdering mentally disabled people, just like the Nazis did. They went to hospitals, they went to mental health clinics. They found the most mentally disabled people there. They rounded them up and shot them or put them into gas chambers. And that's not a problem to you.
That's not what I never said I was in favor of it. I was just simply
You
saying
literally
that it was
just
gonna happen.
said-
Say you couldn't take care of these people. They're gonna die regardless. If you're going to let somebody die, at least take
Okay,
advantage of the fact that you use their resources.
you're injecting extra context into this hypothetical. We asked you very
Look,
plainly.
the hypothetical.
We
the
asked you
hypothetical
very
regardless.
fucking plainly, would you be in favor of killing mentally disabled people who had about the same intelligence as a pig? You said yes. So you would not have a problem with Nazis rounding up mentally disabled people and putting them in a fucking gas chamber.
As per your own words, if you compare a human being to that level, they are no more valuable than an animal. So you're literally just saying the same thing regardless. You're literally just
No,
saying that
I'm
you would
not.
kill
I'm
all
not in
these humans.
favor of killing
Yes, you
mentally
would.
disabled people, unlike you fucking moron.
Look, all I'm saying is that no matter how you put it, even if you were to argue with or against it, at the end of the day, if you're making all of these other arguments where you want to kill off a majority of like the population because a lot of the population is fucking carnivorous, if you're willing
Buddy,
to kill
I
off
want
that
to
much, then
fucking
you're
off
still...
people like you because you want to fucking commit a Holocaust.
Look, you can say these vague ass threats all you want. It doesn't affect me. So
That's not a
I mean,
threat.
Keep going. No, it is a threat.
No, it
It's
isn't.
that's why I said it's a vague threat.
I want to fuck your mom. Is that a threat?
I mean, it depends on how I'd be willing to take it, but that's not the point here.
Well, it depends on how she'd be willing to take
Yeah,
it.
that's also another thing. Yeah, how would she like? Yeah, what the why?
A
Like, you know,
threat
it depends
isn't
on how
a
any
threat
of us
on the
would be willing
basis
to
of
take
how
it.
it's perceived.
Yeah, maybe-
so me
maybe
saying
I'm-
I want to fuck your mom isn't a threat.
Well, technically, it could be because what are you implying by that? That could be the implication. Well,
Well,
that's
what
not the
I'm
argument.
implying is I want to do it.
Let's move on. Let's move on from this.
I think he's saying that your mom is extra tight and also ooey gooey, and he needs to get in there right now.
Yeah, but hold on. What if King of Nothing's mom has like the mental disability of like a fucking pig? Would that mean Vegan Gains is fucking an animal?
I mean,
Smaggle,
okay, we're not gonna get into this. We're not gonna get. It's pointless to get into that.
You need to bring up your other argument. Can animals consent?
Okay, look, Vegan Gains, respectfully, because I'm not going to insult you or berate you. I don't care, like, what sort of fucking shit you say. I'm here trying to be respectful. I may be getting loud, but I'm not going to I'm not going to like actually disrespect you. Look, so like, what is the point you're trying to make with that argument? All right, like, is your entire
my point
just,
is
like,
the only
following-
way to justify eating animals is to take away human rights, which I demonstrated.
Okay, but look, at like that falls back to the point. Like, most of these animals aren't comparable to even somebody who is like mentally retarded, because even mentally retarded people can still have more awareness than an animal, depending on the animal that you compare it to. Okay, look, but say like fucking stupid ass number, like say 10% of the population is retarded. What percent of that retarded population is actually mentally deficient to the
I don't know what
extent?
you mean by retarded. The prevalence of mental disability is actually extremely high.
I'm using, well, yeah, but like at what point, like, what are you meaning by mental disability? You can't just group all of that, because mental disability can mean so many things. It can mean somebody who has a disability.
About a quarter of the U.S. population over 18 is mentally disabled, but that includes things like ADHD.
So that's what I was about to say. So you're telling me that ADHD, which sometimes can pose a disability in learning, you're telling me that somebody with ADHD who is still very capable of having like a high
I'm not
awareness.
saying that. That's just a straw man. I'm obviously talking about people with like severely.
You do realize the circle that you just went in, right? Because if you have to clarify what people are comparable to the awareness that an animal can have.
It was literally proposed in the hypothetical, so I don't know why you're saying this.
No, because we moved on past the hypothetical. At this point, we're actually talking like realistic in a realistic sense. What form, like how many people would you actually?
So if you total up like severe cognitive disabilities, so like people with anencephaly, it totals to about 10 million worldwide.
Okay, can you provide the statistic?
Yeah, I'd have to look that. I'd have to gather that all again, but I don't have that information right now. But if you look at all like severe mental disabilities, where somebody would be about comparable to an animal, so diseases like anencephaly, it would be about 10 million worldwide.
Let's make it easier. What about a vegetable? Somebody who has like little to no brain activity.
That would be included.
Lowering. Yeah, that's even like, but like I said, that's even lower of a statistic.
That's even lower. Yeah, but would you be okay with eating that person?
I mean, they literally do not have a function. They do not have.
Maybe how about a person in a coma? How about a person in a coma who might wake up?
Okay, a person in a coma is different, because that's proposing the idea that they'll eventually have conscience. Are you proposing that they'll never have conscience, or are you proposing that they will eventually have conscience?
Doctors say most likely no, but there's a small percentage chance if they keep them on the ventilators that they might. Can you eat that person?
I would say no, because what if this person is important and can provide something? Say this person is somebody that like Vegan Gains is in favor of. Say this person is somebody that Vegan Gains would support. Well, like in that situation, like would you, like in this case, could we both disagree or agree that we would be like willing to get rid of this person or not?
I mean, the mentally disabled person does something completely out of maybe not on purpose or whatever that could provide something for society. I don't think providing for society necessarily would dictate.
I feel like another thing is that when you're providing for society, that genuinely increases the type of value that you have in this sort of discussion. Because a lot of these animals that we have, they're specifically bred from like the ground up, from a completely like separate offshoot of genes, to like they're bred from the ground up to specifically just live their entire lives just to be fat and not have any other purpose. Like
I'm confused. Why do people keep bringing that up as if that's a better scenario? Isn't that like worse?
It really depends on the way you look at it and the way you try to justify it. Because if you think about it, like, a wild animal versus something that's been raised specifically to die, like let's compare, like again, and it's gonna be stupid because it's just generalizing. It doesn't have a lot of details. Let's compare the cognitive abilities between both of these animals. Are you saying that if we just fucking stopped raising these animals and threw them in the wild and freed them and like prevented all of this fucking struggle, would they be able to survive genuinely a day?
The problem isn't that whether they'd be able to survive. The problem is that we breed them to murder them and kill them in like.
Look, I'm not saying that.
Fashions. I mean, realistically, I don't know. I mean, American slavery wasn't like a super solid thing, right? You wouldn't say it was a really cool thing, but they were breeding black people on plantations to pick cotton. You know what I mean?
It was very economically viable. We got a lot.
It was super economically viable. Yeah, it really helped out the economy.
Oh shit! Okay, look, I'm not going to argue this point because like I don't disagree with Vegan Gains in this. There's a couple of points that there's a lot of points that I'm going to agree with Vegan Gains on this. Like for example, he brings up a lot of climate change. I mean, you could argue a couple of other things, but overall,
the problem is that if you eat meat, you kind of got to concede that you're being a hypocritical dick.
And what?
I feel like you really have to.
In what sense?
Because the majority of the arguments he's been making tonight are absolutely correct, is what I'm saying. Like he's demonstrated that. Like
I feel like
there's like okay, look at it this way. How could would you be upset if you found out that someone beat a dog?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because look, dogs and a lot of animals. Look, dogs and a lot of animals. When you really look at it in an look, I'm a very empathetic person, right? I like Vegan Gains. I have more. Look.
You're not an empathetic person if you're supporting animal.
I'm going to ask you. Let me just walk you through this. Why do you get mad when someone beats a dog?
Look, I'm going to get into what he's saying into a second. Look, I perceive animals like to an extent the same way Vegan Gains perceives animals, just a little bit more on the cognitive functional side. Look, we all know that animals have their own level of empathy. They all have their own level of awareness, right?
Dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Why do you get mad when someone beats a dog?
Listen. A human can defend themselves to an extent.
Just answer the question super simply. Why do you get mad when someone beats a dog?
Because it's unfair to them. any person can just fucking completely abuse a defenseless animal, but at least a person can fucking defend themselves. I'm gonna get mad because they're completely indefensible.
Okay,
The
so
animals
the
you're
argument for
eating
vegan
are
gains is
indefensible.
what about the pigs? What about other animals that we do eat?
Yeah, they can't
about,
defend themselves, and you're abusing them, and you're killing
What about
them,
the ones
and
who
they
are
can't defend
born to be
themselves.
killed? Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not, like I said, that's not something that I'm going to disagree with, because you are
Yeah, so
right.
you're a
Animals
hypocrite.
are getting fucking abused. But the thing is that you're getting into is, like, if I'm going to eat meat, it's because sometimes going out of my way to, like, go on a strictly vegan diet, it's beyond my means. Not as in, like, means as monetary means. It's just my means of conveniency. If I try to do that every day, I just wouldn't be able to sustain myself in a way that it would actually matter. Because if I have to work the job that I work, and if I have to accommodate for my, like, bodily functions to, like,
I
to a certain
train,
extent,
okay, buddy. I do bodybuilding.
This
I
is a-
train 4 hours a day. I'm fucking bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. How the fuck can you claim you need to eat meat for
That's
health
a-
and performance?
That's pointless, because I never claimed anything about performance. I said it's more about consistency and more about what's easiest for me. Because what type
Paying
of job
for
do you
animals to
hold?
get tortured and murdered is easier for you.
What type of job do you hold? What type of, like, work, like, what is your profession?
Yeah, buddy. I before I did YouTube, I was vegan. I was doing personal training. I was doing photography. Like, why the hell do you think you need to eat meat if you work a
Did you
job?
say
Like, you
would
can't
you
eat tofu?
say would you say that you have at least that you had at least enough time to go out of your means or out of your way to at least gather food that would actually benefit you, whether it be some sort of supplement?
Dude, it's all at the grocery store, okay? It's all at the grocery store. You have to move your arm a few feet to the left to choose the tofu or the Beyond Burgers or the soy milk.
Tofu or the Beyond Burgers.
Yeah, but they all taste shit. So I
You
would rather
taste like
get them-
shit.
That's
Yeah, I
another
do.
thing.
Yeah,
You know what?
that's
I
why
didn't even
no,
think
hold
about
on,
that.
hold on. That's why we don't eat humans, because we all taste like shit.
No,
retard.
no, actually, most
Prove it.
people taste like pork, but you taste like shit.
Also,
Wait, how do you know that? Wait, how do you know that?
Your mom told me.
There's been like, let's just talk
Oh.
about
You know what? I think we should
Oh,
report.
no.
I think we should report vegan gains to the FBI, the
Yeah,
CIA,
Snaggle,
for eating meat.
Snaggle, you should be
Cannibalism.
careful,
Not
okay?
the CYA.
Not the CYA, dude.
All right, look, so to, like, what I'm not sure what, like, I'm not sure what the monetary expenses of it would be. I'm not like, I can definitely say that I'm not struggling for money. I could definitely afford a vegan diet, but it's just not something that I could genuinely. It's not more afford. It just wouldn't be extremely convenient for me. I would have to dedicate too much time and actually.
That's bullshit.
Like,
No.
I would
How the
actually-
hell
I
would it take more time and be less convenient?
Would you say that a normal person, let's say they work like a regular 9 to 5, getting paid anywhere between like fucking $10 to $15 an hour, would you say that it would be sustainable for them to be capable of doing
Most
like, you know, any
research
sort of this
shows
food?
vegan diets are cheaper.
Okay, but what about the nutritional aspects of actually going into like that shit without having
Yeah,
to
so
buy a sort of supplement?
Vegans on average are healthier, they live longer, and they have lower risk of chronic disease,
But-
including heart disease, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure.
Damn.
Are there any potential like vitamin deficiencies with a common,
there's-
not your?
Yeah, there's
I was gonna say-
potential for vitamin deficiencies in any diet, so it just depends on how you plan your diet.
Yeah,
and what your
I'm not
specific
saying yours
needs are.
specifically, but like let's say an average vegan diet, like vitamin
Yeah,
B12, things
so
like that.
the one big one for vegans is probably iodine, just because we don't eat dairy. So you have to make sure that you get some source of iodine. Sea vegetables are an easy way to do that.
And what would you say the most inconvenient part for an average person would be about vegan?
Well, just not
About
being able to
being
get anything from like McDonald's, maybe, especially if you're in the States because the French fries aren't vegan. But you can go to Burger King and get a Whopper just without any cheese or mayo. The
Okay.
Impossible Whopper's fine. Like that's it. But if we're talking about people who don't make much money, like minimum wage, they're gonna be bagging their lunch and preparing their food. They can't like eat out all the time. So just make yourself like a fucking tofu sandwich or something and bring that to work.
Multi Bears fan says he literally needs to suck extra supplements others can't afford. Vegan gains, I don't think you make like an exorbitant amount of money. Am I wrong?
I make good money, like more than average.
But it's not like you're making.
I'm not
like,
a
$10
millionaire.
million
Like,
a year.
yeah,
right?
no, I'm nowhere near that.
Yeah, so it's not like you're like totally.
Yeah,
like,
so
unrelatable to people financially.
So the only supplements I take are B12 and a multivitamin. That's it. If you think B12 and a multivitamin is too much money for you, then you can't afford food, period. And you're like starving in some African country.
Does anyone else want to come in and debate him from chat? If there's anyone that wants to. Sorry, my voice is getting a little hoarse and kind of
So you-
sick. But if anyone wants to come in, you're totally welcome to.
For an average person, you don't think their life would in any way be negatively impacted if they went vegan?
No, they would probably be healthier especially if they ate a whole foods diet where they avoided junk food like Oreos. I think they'd feel better about themselves knowing that they're making an ethical choice. They'd probably live longer. They'd avoid medical bills. It would probably be cheaper in the long run because they're less likely to get heart disease, diabetes, cancer. So no, there's no real way that it would negatively impact your life.
If you want to debate vegan gains, put your don't just tell me, put
So-
your fucking Discord ID in chat so I can add you guys.
In terms of taste in general, you think vegan food is like for an average person would be something they would enjoy in general?
Well, look, taste is subjective. Like, you can go to a dope ass fucking pizza restaurant like Sally's in New York, and then you'll have people saying it's worse than Domino's.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, if you give somebody like
True.
really good vegan food and they're used to like really processed junk, they might not like it. I don't know, but I don't see any issue with like somebody being dissatisfied with taste, especially if they get used to certain foods. Okay.
Yeah, Shredded Nerd, do you want to debate, Richard?
So there's nothing about not being vegan that you don't miss.
No. I can get like any kind of food substitute that I'd want. So I used to like Snickers bars. You can get vegan Snickers. What are those vegan Snickers called, Jasmine?
Wait, what?
No, I
Vegan
can't remember.
Snickers?
I think they're called Joker's bars. Yeah, there's a company that has vegan chocolate bars called Joker's bars.
Cool.
There's alternatives for literally everything. I don't miss any foods.
Big Butt Lover for 2 says vegan gain sounds gayer than a $3 bill. I don't really know what that means.
Oh, I'll show you just how fucking gay I am.
Okay. What's up, Shredded
Right,
Nerd?
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, hello. All right, I more just have a couple questions.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, in terms of the stopping the suffering and all that, if you had, I think this is probably a question you've been posed before, but I want to know your answer. If you could destroy, just make all the world vanish, that would stop all future rights violations, wouldn't it? So make all life vanish off the earth, just make the entire world disappear. Like, if you had a button that could do that instantly, would it be ethical or not to press that?
There's differing opinions on that. It's entirely going to come down to how much you value suffering versus like potential future well-being. I'm not an antinatalist. That's or an ethicist.
Well, yeah, I was about to ask that as well. If you,
Yeah,
is it ethical
so
to have babies,
In
even though
my
they're going to
view,
die,
yeah,
inevitably suffer.
in my view, I think I can foresee a realistic future where the amount of well-being far displaces the amount of suffering, to where like the suffering would be trivial enough where existence is justified.
Okay, so existence is justified because of well-being.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, and what do you consider well-being to be? Just like happiness, an experience of happiness? Or,
Well, yeah, it can be happiness. It can be feelings of pleasure, satisfaction. I think we like intuitively kind of have a good concept of what well-being is.
Intuitively, okay. Well, I would argue people's intuitions vary on that. People can have all kinds of people can have intuitions that eating meat is perfectly fine. I think that's a pretty common intuition.
Yeah, but we're talking about a subjective feeling of well-being, so
Yeah, okay. So what if, let's say, my subjective feeling of well-being that I get from eating meat is greater and outweighs all the suffering in the world that animals feel?
well, that would be your opinion. I don't know how you'd exactly quantify that objectively, but yeah, I would say personally, I wouldn't think somebody's pleasure from eating meat outweighs animal suffering.
I mean, I kind of feel like any idea of well-being is inherently going to be subjective, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it requires subjectivity. Like it's an experience.
Okay, so I guess why would I value an animal's experience over my own?
Well, again, it's a matter of logical consistency. Like, if you think you should experience well-being and you should not be harmed, then name the trait. Like, name the trait that's lacking in an animal that if lacking in you or any other person would justify, like, torturing and murdering you.
Being made in the image of God.
Okay, well, I just had a debate about that. So you think if you weren't made in the image of God, it would be okay to torture and kill you?
Yeah, I guess I couldn't say it's morally wrong. I'd say I don't like it and fight back against it, but I don't know how I could say it's morally incorrect.
Well, why the hell would you hold that opinion? Like, if you don't like it...
If it's all subjectively.
Well, there's no such thing
Because, I mean, it's a negative experience, so I can't say it's morally. I can't say there's
Well,
something...
yeah, you can. This is from your own perspective.
Well, yeah, it's my own perspective. And why, again, why should I value anything besides my own perspective, my own experience?
Well, again, it's a matter of logical consistency. If you believe your experience should be valued, then by logical extension, other experiences should be valued.
Okay, I think that's kind of getting lost in the weeds. I did want to ask some other questions as well.
Okay, sure.
I do also want to ask, so there have been situations, right, where they get told, like doctors, right, medical professionals, to stop doing the vegan diet. Like, I think a famous recent example, you've probably been asked about this already plenty of times, but Alex O'Connor, you know.
Oh yeah,
I
that
think
guy's a
he's
jackass.
vegan advocate. Yeah,
He's a
how
lying
so?
asshole. He's totally full of shit.
Damn.
So look, he was saying he was having digestive problems, and he specifically mentioned that he couldn't eat certain foods when he went out. Like, I have a hard time believing this guy is gonna have diarrhea from eating French fries at a restaurant, but when he eats like fucking pub food that has animal products in it, like fucking fried fish, he's fine. It just sounds stupid. And again, he admitted himself that he just didn't appropriately plan his diet. He said he could have kept being vegan, he just couldn't be fucked.
Okay. So he's full of shit. Okay. That's
Yeah,
what
I think he's
saying,
just totally
right?
full of shit.
Okay, so I guess anyone could be vegan, right?
Yeah, there's no disease or allergy that I know of that would prevent somebody from being vegan.
Okay. I'm not a medical professional, but have you ever debated like a medical professional on
Yep.
that?
It should still be up on my channel. His name is Roston C. He has a PhD in nutrition.
Okay, I might give that a look.
What were his basic arguments, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so we were debating what, like, the big part of the debate was whether or not cholesterol is related to heart disease pathology. He was arguing that oxidation of LDL is what causes heart disease, and basically I just debunked that.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
I know you said you never lost the debate on veganism, but who do you think did the best in debating you on veganism?
Maybe Destiny.
Why?
So especially the first time I debated him, his answers were just really jarring. He was just like totally okay with torturing any animal. Like he was like, yeah, if you wanted to pluck a dog's eyes out with a fork, like you could do that. And that was just really fucking jarring to me, and I just was kind of at a loss for what to say.
Yeah, that makes
he
sense.
holds his positions, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can be
when he's-
consistent, but yeah, it was just jarring hearing him say that, and I was kind of at a loss.
That was jarring to me too. Like when I was talking to you guys on stream, and he was like, he was saying like, yeah, I mean, if I heard my neighbor like kick his dog, I think he's weird, but I wouldn't really have a problem. Like it's a dog, I don't really give a shit.
Didn't he say in the abortion debate saying like it would be fine to use if a fetus like didn't develop their cognitive abilities or something, it'd be fine to use it as like a sex doll?
I can't recall that.
That's what Destiny said. I think it was in his abortion debate, that like Trent Horn one.
Oh, okay.
That was a bit like
I didn't see that.
I mean, the
part.
thing is, like, if he's logically consistent, he probably does like just think like, well, if it's a conscious experience, then I care, and if it's not, then I don't care. So he probably is fine with necrophilia, if I had to guess. Yeah. As long as the person, I guess, when they were alive, consented to it. I guess that, yeah. That would be my guess.
So
What would that
besides
matter if
Destiny,
they
is there
consented while they
anyone
were
else?
alive if they're dead?
What does it matter? Well, I guess
Well,
like
if you're arguing from Destiny's alleged perspective,
I
why
think
would
the
it matter?
explanation would be like, well, if we ascribe people personal agency and like we allow them to choose, like, okay, I want to be buried, or I want to be, you know, or I want to be like incinerated and turned to ashes, right? If we allow them that personal agency, then we should still respect some level of it in death. Right?
Sure, but people don't always respect personal agency. I mean, wills are a thing.
That's
People
true. That's
debate
true. But
over
he would say,
what goes
that's
where
true.
and who gets
But
what.
he would probably say that we should, right? Like that's kind of a societal standard we've set.
I feel like with almost any moral position, if you push it far enough, you're going to get some kind of thing that seems intuitively absurd to most people.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the case with any
Well,
moral
the thing
position.
is, there is that, but then from
Like
a vegan
murdering all
perspective,
carnivores, for example.
the other thing, like one thing I'm curious about vegan gains is like, okay, so obviously you're vegan, that's one part of your life, but we've been shooting videos over the past few days. Both times you've shown up on motorcycles. I mean, obviously those aren't like, you know, the least fuel efficient thing in the world, but they do burn gas, and I'm sure that gas going into the atmosphere does overall harm the environment and animals. Like, how do you kind of reconcile that kind of behavior while also being a vegan, I guess?
Yeah, I just don't consider it a rights violation, and something like that is something that's going to have to be regulated by the government and the market. There just aren't any environmentally friendlier solutions right now. So
I mean, you
without
could just get like an electric car, right?
Well, I don't know if an electric car would really be any more environmentally friendly because we have a dirty electric grid. We still use coal. It does require more greenhouse gases to actually make the electric car. So you really see the returns in the long term when you use it, not in the short term.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and I mean,
Wait,
electric cars fucking suck right
so
now.
your rights is subjective. It's not objective. It's just a
Well,
subjective thing you think
yeah.
about.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they're obvious. They have to be.
Well, I guess another question I would have is like, don't you think like animals who like, you know, inhabit this earth and like, I mean, I know like cows like shit and fart and like that does pollute the earth, or whatever, but not to the extent we do. Don't you think they have a right to like a clean earth that like we aren't fucking just raping all the time?
Yeah, again, that sort of thing is going to have to be solved with legislation. Like me just choosing not to use my car or motorcycle, I don't see that actually improving anybody's life. If I just personally stop.
Mm.
Whereas if I stop
Do you
eating meat, that has a tangible, obvious benefit. Like you can actually calculate the amount of animals you kill.
Well, I guess you can, but realistically, like I think if you individually stop eating meat, like animals are still going to die, like an untold amount, and
Well,
ridiculous
right.
amount are still going to die, and they're still going to be eaten by people. And the same animals like you would eat are probably just going to be eaten by someone else. Like the demand is not going to drastically decrease
Well,
just
no.
because of you.
You can calculate this. You save about 100 animals per year on an average diet if you switch to a vegan diet. Like, I'm not convinced that I'd save a single animal if I didn't ride my motorcycle for a year.
And I think also you kind of prove that it's viable. It's kind of like you're kind of a guinea pig. You know, you're testing your own beliefs, your own ideology. and
Well,
showing that
yeah,
it is
like
actually
I mean, on top of that, if you're gonna use like electric cars, fucking suck, especially in Canada. Like they get no fucking range in the winter. The charging infrastructure shit. Most of the DC fast chargers are fucking garbage. They either don't work or charge super slow, so you have to sit there for like over an hour. Like it's there's no, and the urban sprawl in North America is fucking horrible, so you can't rely on like the train or public transit.
I have some other questions as well, actually.
Yeah, sure.
So what do you think about like air travel and sea travel? Because I think that inevitably involves killing like, you know, sea life, and I think air travel kills birds. I think that's an inevitable.
Well,
like,
they avoid
externality
birds.
of them being used.
I
But they
think
still
they.
inevitably kill a certain amount of birds, do they not?
Yeah, I know, but say like you inevitably kill people with transportation. I wouldn't consider it a rights violation when it's like an accidental death.
I feel, but it's not just accidental. It's like something that's we eat into the cost. Of,
Well,
like,
right, and
air
we
travel.
eat
It's
into the
inevitable.
cost. Right, we eat
I
into the
feel with
cost.
personal travel, you do have a kind of culpability and responsibility. So let's say you're driving a car and you hit an animal. That's something that you are directly in control with.
Well, you
Whereas
could hit a
if it's-
person. Like people also die. I don't see it as a rights violation. You're going to have those sorts of issues when it comes to practically anything. Like any industry, there's going to be deaths in that industry, human deaths or otherwise. So we don't consider those rights violations, those sorts of accidental or incidental deaths.
Okay. I getcha. And also, doesn't, I think agriculture with plants and stuff, right? Does
Yeah.
that not involve like culling, killing animals? You know,
Well,
keeping pests away? such
Yeah,
things?
like we do use pesticides and things, but again, I would just consider that like defensive property.
Defensive property. So hold on, animals subject to property rights?
Yes.
So
There could
okay,
be-
so if an animal is trespassing on my property, is it fine to kill and eat it then?
Well, it really like the same rules would basically apply to a human being if the only way to get it off your property is to like use lethal force. So like if a bear
Okay,
walked into your
okay.
house, like yeah, if the only way to get the bear out would be to shoot it, I'd be fine with that.
So
Same with
a
like a
farmer,
human.
do they not own that property? Does that not count as
What do you mean?
things on their property?
Well,
Well,
again,
like a
if
farm,
you-
they're in the farm, right?
Well-
the animals are on their property.
Well, yeah, again, if there were human beings that walked onto your property, you don't have the right to just shoot them with like a fucking scoped rifle.
You don't have the right
I
to eat
mean, in
them
like
either.
Texas, don't you? You have like
No, you
castle auction. You can
No,
still eat.
you cannot just shoot
Okay,
somebody
I
with a
don't know.
scoped
I'm close
rifle.
by that.
If you own a big property, say like a farmland or an open field, you can't just sit at your porch with a scoped rifle and shoot somebody from a kilometer away just because they walked onto your property.
Okay, but
What about,
there
like,
are situations it's fine to shoot them.
Imagine if Boogie shot and ate Frank Castle.
One question I would have is
He
like,
would've
how
done
far
it
does this
too.
extend?
Don't be
Like with something like a bug, like or I think bugs? Do some of them have conscious experience? I don't really know. I mean,
Yeah,
certainly
like
more
some
than
of them are
something like
I was
certainly-
going to ask that as well.
Some of them are almost certainly sentient. Some might not be.
So how do you feel about like, is it like super wrong to kill them?
Depends. A lot of insects are carnivorous, so like spiders. Might not necessarily have a problem with killing spiders because again, you're preventing other insects from dying. But again, most insects are carnivorous, so I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing to like wipe out spiders because you'd also be allowing other carnivorous insects to live.
Yeah, I mean, like
Um,
with something like mosquitoes, like they suck our blood and spread disease.
Yeah,
and, like,
you'd
the
probably
number
want to
one
wipe
thing
out
that
all
eats them is the
mosquitoes if you
spider.
could.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, adding on to
What
that,
about-
adding on to the bug thing, I want to ask, where do you draw the line in terms of consciousness? So I feel like consciousness is more of a spectrum,
Right,
rather
okay,
than like
yeah.
a strict definition.
So I
like
would
oysters,
say-
for example.
So I would say if a creature has a substantive amount of sentience, then I am in favor of protecting it. So you could, in theory, have a creature that could only experience like the color blue. I wouldn't really care about that. But if they can experience well-being and or experience suffering, then I would care about their conscious experience. Like if you had a being that could only experience suffering and nothing else, you'd probably want to kill it. It would be beneficial for it.
And in terms of suffering, don't like some creatures they experience like they technically experience some kind of suffering, but it's like not very sophisticated.
Yeah,
Like, it's not on the level of a human.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that's another thing. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of creatures where they can't suffer to a great degree, but they also can't experience well-being to a great degree. Like, you know, an insect in all likelihood. Like, it is a spectrum.
Okay. So you'd say all like meat eating is like equally bad, or is some of it worse than
Well,
others? Like,
some
you
of
say
it
with
is
bug, it's
worse than
barely-
others. So,
you
like,
barely experience.
I'd rather have insects be raised in agriculture and killed than cows, but I'd still
Okay.
be against both.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I do want to ask, where do you draw the line? Like, what would you say is the most sentient thing, the most sophisticated life that you would eat, or is permissible to kill?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen a creature where they have a low enough degree of sentience where I'd be okay with killing them. Because, like, usually if something's sentient, they can experience suffering and well-being. So usually it crosses that kind of substantive sentience gap. If you could show me a creature that could only experience, say, like a type of smell, or like the color, like a single color, or just light and dark, I might not care.
I mean, okay, so like a plant reacting to.
Well,
light,
no, because a plant isn't
doesn't count.
conscious. Like, again, it can't actually experience those things. It can react to stimuli, but it can't actually experience those things.
Well, I mean, I guess that just rests on like what is consciousness beyond just reacting to stimuli.
Well, it's the ability to have a subjective experience.
I mean, even that. Like even that varies, right? Like there's people who believe that consciousness exists in literally everything, right?
Well, yeah, they're full of
And-
shit. I don't
and-
think fucking trees can think or feel. They're like spiritual woo-woo assholes.
Yeah, but
Well,
I feel like it's kind of hard to delineate like where, you know, what specifically conscious. Like when I think of an oyster, like what realistically does it have?
Yeah, they probably aren't sentient. They have nerve ganglia, and that's it. So they probably aren't sentient.
Okay, so I've been kind of speaking over people. I'll let someone else jump in.
No, it's all good. I don't really have
I
anything
was
to add,
actually
honestly.
thinking of going because it seems like there's not much of a debate.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate you
Can I-
calling in though.
Yeah, no
Can I
problem.
just say one final thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say one final thing. So this whole thing, your rights violations, it's all subjective. So if you think I'm unethical, it's subjective, and I don't really care about your opinion. So you should go die in a hole.
Okay,
And that's it.
stop chewing for us. Do us all a favor. Yeah, and Tom, we should hang out again soon. We should go to Vietche. Vietche is
Go
really
eat your
fun.
own
Down.
PCs, baby.
I'm definitely down.
All
How
right.
about when the video comes out, we can do like a watch party.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
All right, take care.
Good. Have a good night.
Yeah.
You too. Alrighty.